just going to take a breath. Because I don't take it lightly that I'm here this morning. To the national leadership, to those who have organized this 10th anniversary, to the members and the women in the royal red this morning, I too got the memo. I am not a Delta, but I am certainly a groupie. It has been a long journey to being a Delta groupie. I was mentored by our beloved Dorothy Height for 16 years. So you may have seen me. I was the one carrying her purse, her cane, pushing the wheelchair, carrying the papers, running the errands. That was me. In the room, present, maybe not always with a voice, but certainly listening. And that's what I'm here this morning to talk about. If I can share anything at all, I want you to take just a few things about listening and being present and being ready so that when that moment comes, you can take full privilege of depositing into the world space that which you have come here to do. So it's about purpose. I am my sister's keeper. In fact, I am my sister. When I look in the mirror, I see you. When I look in your eyes, I see my eyes. And so this work that we call international work, is really the work we do first at home, on our block, in our communities, at home, in our cities and our states across the country. The international work starts locally. In fact, it starts with you. It starts with you taking that breath every morning and saying, why am I here? What have I come here to do? What is my purpose? And then most importantly, what do I want to leave here? I am the mother of two wonderful children. Actually, they're adults. My daughter, 25 years old, my son, 23 years old. And it was at the point of becoming a mother that I decided that I had to really pay a little more attention to the who I am, and then to the why I am. Because it was, as you heard Miss Carla, thank you for that beautiful introduction. As you heard, she shared with you that I started an organization 17 years ago called Sisters at the Well. And the reason I started that organization was, as a little girl, I was one of those 5-year-olds in the Bahamas carrying that 2-gallon bucket of water on my head. Every morning at 6 o'clock, going to the well to get the water, because that's what the women did. And the women gathered at that well every morning, young and old. And the girl children didn't talk very much, but we learned how to communicate without words, because we weren't really allowed to have a voice. Our job was to be about the business of getting the water and getting back home and doing your work and then being ready at 8 o'clock for school. That's what we did in the Bahamas. That's not so far away from here, right? So I started an organization called Sisters at the Well because it was there at that well as a little girl from 5 to 16. I'm American born, but my grandparents are Bahamian, and out of love for my mother, who had 10 children, my aunt decided to take me, just to help out a little bit. And as I learned to sit at that well and listen with my heart and my eyes, I was able to really tap into those basic life lessons. And the first one is, never give your back to another sister. So we stood in the well in a circle. And so when I pulled at 25, 28 years old, I started having this call on my heart for, I had come back to the States, and I wanted to find that peace that I found at that well, around the sisters, with no voices but big hearts, and sending out the energy every day. And I was living in California. When I moved to California, I was a flight attendant for American Airlines, and I fell in love with a man on the phone and traveled across the country to get married to him. It's been 28 years, so it worked. When I traveled across the country and I arrived in California, if any of you have been there or lived there or from there, you know that so much happens above the surface in Hollywood, right? So I had this longing for some real talk, some, deep down, so what's really happening under there? And I couldn't find that. And what I was looking for was that well moment. And I was like, where are the real women? And my husband, who was a firefighter, had decided to move into a community that had no black people. I met him there, so I couldn't really say much, and plus I was in love, so I wasn't going to say much. But after a while, I had moved from New York, and I thought, how did we get out here? Where literally, the city was called Sylmar. People were going to the store on horses. And I said, now I'm loving him, but I can't figure out how a black man got to this spot. I couldn't really get that. I later found out it was because his house was $34,000 and he could afford it, and he wanted to own something. But I'm sitting in this community and I said, where are my people? Unfortunately, one day he took me to something called the Black Family Reunion because he thought I was going to leave him because it was really getting just that bad. And he took me to this thing called the Black Family Reunion where I met Dorothy Height. I saw those black women and I ran towards them. I ran towards them and she had on red. And as I got there, I said, well, I want to do something. I definitely want to have some real conversation. So Sisters at the Well was born out of that. And then fast forward, and I traveled the world with Dorothy Height, even to the Beijing conference, which is where that seed was planted so deeply in my heart about being a local citizen with a global view, because there are no boundaries between our hearts, that I too am you. The International Black Women's Public Policy started in 2009, but again, that seed was planted years ago. In 2009, we said there's a simple vision here. And this vision is to convene women wherever they are, black women, wherever they are, to really put our hearts and our minds together to say, what can we do to move it forward? What can we do to make women feel safe and secure? What can we do to make women see that without our presence, without our wisdom, without our concern, nothing is really going to happen that's positive. The world needs us. So here today, the International Black Women's Public Policy, we have one simple vision: just convene. If we make the call, the women will come. And once we all get to the table, we make the table as big as it needs to be. As big as it is. There are no big eyes and no little eyes. We're all at the table equal. The most important thing that the organization does is we do this intergenerational conversation. Because if we're not bringing young women to the table, I was a young woman with Dorothy Height. I got to carry her purse. We actually fought over who would carry the purse and the cane and push the chair. And what I learned from that lesson, and this is not a criticism, this is a positive observation, is that so often we call young women into the room, but we don't give them a voice. Not because we don't think they're smart. I know Dr. Height picked me because I was smart. I made it a business. You can't prepare better than me. I'm going to read everything there is to read. I'm going to ask every question there is to ask. I know that I'm going to be ready. I was taught to be ready. But it's not enough to just say, come into the room. We have to hear from them. We have to make space at the table for them in a real way. What some did not do well enough, but it's now our charge to do better, is to find a place where these young women, I love smart young women, you have to be smarter than me for me to mentor you. that's the way it works for me. And I've had 17 mentees, and I am so proud of them. They are all over this country doing things. I'm also Bahamian, so I can wear 9 hats at once. But in order, if someone asks me about mentoring a relationship, I need to know that you're smarter than me. Because this can't be one way. You don't get to just withdraw from me. Right? I get to put in, I want to be the teacher and the student at the same time. What I like about this 10th anniversary, last night as I sat and just watched and listened, first of all, I'm so proud to be wearing my red, I don't know what to do, right? I am so proud, and you all have been calling me Sarah, thank you, and I haven't denied it really. Let me tell you something. What I just say to you, my sisters, on this 10th anniversary, on this 100th year, keep doing your work. Keep doing your work. This is our leg. This is a relay, and this is our leg. And Delta sisters, you got it going on. And everybody knows that. They may not know exactly what you do, but they know who you are. They see you. And I just want you to know that I see you too. I love you and God bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Delta women.